This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half.
Hello, this is Deborah Johnson here with another week for Women at Halftime podcast. I'm really excited about this subject. Actually, I'm excited most weeks about the subject, but this one on tackling the impossible as a thought leader. That term thought leader is just thrown around so much these days, and it's not good enough to just be an expert anymore. You also need to be a thought leader. And I've seen a lot of articles on this, but I kind of wanted to go a little bit deeper on this, on what it really takes to kind of set yourself apart. So we'll be looking at a few of those things. As this airs, this month, which is August, I will be doing the pre-release of the Summit, my new book, Journey to Hero Mountain. So look for that. Make sure you connect with me on social media, or you get on my email list as well, my weekly newsletter. There's always an article that comes out with every show, with every episode, and I give you extra links, I give you extra resources. So make sure you click into those. And they've been very, very valuable for many. So let's get going on this little subject on tackling the impossible as a thought leader. And the first thing I want to do as we cut through this like noisy world, we don't want to be just an expert anymore, but what does it take to really be a thought leader? Well, a thought leader is one who has the ability to make an impact and is known for something. So if you're an artist or a creative, it may be difficult to define that one thing you're known as. And if you're like me, you just keep creating. I love to create. But there's usually an umbrella that will connect all the projects and all the areas of your business and life. And I have a free download in the article, and make sure you get that. It'll show you that little umbrella. So in this show and in the article, we will look at different creatives and inventors, and we'll define the main thing that they're known for. And so make sure you get that little graphic, because you're going to do this for your life as well. But we'll put some of those things that you are known for on the thought leadership umbrella. But we're going to ask four main questions of each subject that I delve in today, each person. You should then be able to ask yourself those same questions to determine what stands out for you. So let's go back to that little umbrella so you can see this. If you are watching the video, you'll see the graphic of it. But I've got the little main umbrella here, and it says the main message or your main idea. And then it will have you supported by, and validated by, and how it's making an impact. So all of those things will help you in determining your thought leadership, and if you're headed at least to the right direction. So let's start out by just kind of defining some of those questions that I will ask. There's four main questions. So the first one is, what stands out most of all? And number two, what did these people, that I will be talking about, what did they do to support their thought leadership? And you can ask yourself that same question. Number three, how did they get the word out? That's a big deal. How do you let people know? And four, how did their work create an impact? So we'll start with Albert Einstein. You're thinking, oh, I can't compare with Albert Einstein, but we're going to look at the principles. So we're going to look at Albert Einstein as a thought leader. And the German-born physicist was acknowledged to be one of the greatest physicists of all time. And he's known for developing that theory of relativity, which is the law of gravity. He was a genius, of course. But Einstein, he published 4 groundbreaking papers in 1905, and he continued to publish papers throughout his career to substantiate his theories. And thereby, this supported him as a thought leader. So just notice that he's putting out this work and publishing it. Einstein also took scholarly positions that gave him a platform to share his work. So his awards, such as the 1921 Nobel Peace Prize in Physics, along with all of those intellectual achievements, they equated Einstein with genius. That's how he got some of that word out as well. But I thought it was interesting that Einstein was also interested in music. And he's not always known for this, but in his late journals that he wrote, he said that if I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music, and I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music, and I get the most joy out of life of music. So Einstein played the violin, and it helped him to think. And his second wife, Elsa, said, and when she was a little girl, she was much younger than he, I fell in love with Albert because he played Mozart so beautifully on the violin. Apparently, music helped him when he was thinking. And that's what she said, when he's thinking about all of his theories. And I write much more about this in the book, Music for Kids. So when you look at this umbrella and you see what the main message is, and this theory of relativity and all that he's known for, but you can see all the places that are substantiated as well with his writings and the things that he's known for. But there's some extra things in there too, which makes him quite interesting, I think, especially the fact that Einstein played the violin. I was my sister's free accompanist for years. I love the violin in that literature, but it takes a lot to play the violin, especially well. So let's go to Thomas Edison as a thought leader. Okay, another one you're thinking, I can't compare with him, but let's look at the principles. Thomas Edison was an American inventor and a businessman, and he's been described as America's greatest inventor. He was extremely prolific, holding 1,093 patents in his name, as well as patents in other countries. His first invention to gain him wider notice was the phonograph in 1877. And the title was completely unexpected, but he became known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. It's kind of funny as we read, through the Harry Potters and all of this, but he was known as a wizard. Now, even though many think Edison invented the light bulb, he was not the originator. But he did form the Edison Electric Light Company in 1878, and he made the first public demonstration of his incandescent light bulb on December 31st, 1879, that year later. So Edison's patent is on the improvement of the light bulb with a filament of carbon of high resistance, and it's what we've carried into our lives today. With a number of successful patents and inventions, Edison also had plenty of failures and flops. But he took the risks necessary to provide groundbreaking inventions that changed our lives, to increase the number of working hours with inventions like the incandescent light, the telegraph to provide communication across the miles, and eventually a phone. It changed our lives dramatically. So Thomas and Edison, again, when we look at this little diagram, he was the main things. I mean, he was known as an inventor, and it was put out. He got the awards, he was able to get the word out this way. But his actual inventions were being used. So this was the way that the word get out mostly, because people were starting to use these inventions of his, such as the telegraph. That was groundbreaking for many, to be able to communicate across the miles. Totally groundbreaking. And the phonograph and all of those sort of inventions. Well, so let's move on. I'm going to move now more recent with Temple Grandin as a thought leader. Now, Temple Grandin is an American scientist and animal behaviorist. She's a consultant to the livestock industry on animal behavior, but she's also very interesting. She's also autistic. And she wasn't formally diagnosed until she was an adult. But she was in the heroes category for the 2010 Times 100 most influential people in the world. She was autistic. You need to read some of her books. It's amazing. The only formal diagnosis that Grandin had received was brain damage before autism was revealed. And a late diagnosis has fueled Grandin's platform. It gives her really something to stand on. And she wrote her first book in 1995, Thinking in Pictures. And she went on to write over 60 more. That's unbelievable. But she was one of the first scientists to report that animals are sensitive to visual distractions, and she published scientific articles on beef cattle behavior. Her disability, combined with the groundbreaking research, has created a unique platform named as one of 2010's most 100 most influential people. In 2010, 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. And because of her breakthroughs, I would definitely name her as a thought leader, even though formally disabled. Now, as we look at her again, we can see that this overall umbrella, she's known as an animal behaviorist, but she's also known probably more in that area of autism because it was so groundbreaking what she was able to do with a disability. And it gives so many others the courage to move ahead, even though they may have a disability. And that platform has just expanded for her. And really, I would encourage you, I put a couple links in the article, but encourage you to read some of her books. It's fascinating how she thinks. And we know this from autism and from some of the disabilities, how the other senses are magnified. That definitely is the case with Temple Grandin. It's absolutely fascinating on some of her breakthroughs. So we're going to now go to even a more recent illustration is Simon Sinek, thought leader. His most well-known book is Start With Why, though he's written 5 books. He's described as a visionary leader with a rare intellect as he's uncovered the patterns of leaders, companies, and politicians in how they think, they act, and they communicate. Now, Sinek's TED Talks are grouped with others who are thinkers, doers, and idea generators. And that's one of the ways he's gotten the word out. He gave a TED Talk in 2010, then 2014, and 2021. And he also published his thoughts in the TED Ideas blog. This has taken deep work writing and the ability to formulate his thoughts into TED-style talks, short talks that are extremely impactful. Now, when we think about our umbrella here, we see that he's well-written and that he's had that TED platform, but it's on this Start With Why. We think of the golden circle and we think of Simon Sinek. He's branded that so well with that message. And most people would be just extremely happy even to do a TED talk, but the actual TED platform, and he's done this many talks, it's quite impressive what he has done. And it's created really quite the platform for Simon Sinek on the world stage. Most entrepreneurs, most people that are trying to achieve that sort of thought leader mentality study what he's done. To be a TED Talk speaker, you have to be nominated by someone else, or you can nominate yourself with an idea worth spreading. And the TED platform, along with Sinek's research and his writing, it's made him a very well-known name, as I mentioned, among business professionals and especially among entrepreneurs. So let's talk about these common threads of a thought leader. The common threads that connect all of these together. And hopefully you'll get your little umbrella here and you can see, some of these messages. It's completely free download. You don't have to put your name, anything. You can just download it completely free. But we're going to look at some of the dots that connect things together, because I'm all about application. I'm not about just giving you some information. There's plenty of information out there, but I want you to apply it for you. So we're going to look at those common threads of a thought leader. What stands out most of all for Einstein, Edison, Grandin, and Sinek is that they all wrote. Their thoughts and their research were either published or put on the world's stage as a speaker. And this is that content marketing. Temple Grandin went back to update her first book with new research that didn't totally disprove her first thesis, but it changed it somewhat. By taking that risk, she was put on the world stage as a spokeswoman or a spokesperson for those with disabilities, and also for her groundbreaking research forward, even though she changed her opinion. So as we look at that little umbrella, we can see that's one of the things where we were substantiated by this, and it's supported by that writing and that research. I have a book that I will read. I hope to be able to update in the next couple of years, Bad Code, because what's happened in the virtual world has progressed so much. And I think there's some new information and research I can put in that book. Many have done that same thing of just updating their resources. It does not discount them at all from being a thought leader. It really actually shows that they are keeping up with the current times. And that's what Temple Grandin, she felt like there was more research that she could put into her opinion and updated her opinion slightly. Each of those people kept going, even when their work was not immediately recognized and affirmed. This is very true if you think about composers. They were not recognized in their time. Most also took positions that gave them a platform for their ideas, whether at a university or on the public stage. It gave them a larger audience that was pre-built, that was there for them. The market for content marketing is already large, and it's expected to grow by like 417 or 18 billion US dollars during 2021 to 2025. And if you're aiming to become a thought leader and you're not just one of the millions that are calling themselves as an expert, writing and publishing your thoughts with blogs, podcasts, or other media is key to establishing your platform. It does take work, it takes risks, and ability and a willingness to change your message if needed, because a thought leader isn't always right at all times. But a thought leader can make a great impact in changing their world. And one thing I really want to stress here is a lot of people are just writing. They're just writing. But most of us, we need to see sources. We need to know, where are you getting your information? Very important that we know where you're getting that information and substantiate that research. Because a lot of articles that I read, they're just here and there. They've just got facts here and there. But we need to go back to that actual research. When I try to really do this with all of my work and not just say something that I've heard. Extremely important in today's world with a lack of trust in so many of the facts. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It was really fun delving into some of these thought leaders, and I love to kind of study some of the minds and see where they've gone. Please join us next week. We have a very, very special episode, very neat show. I've had Marcia Grundall on before, but she's talking about this new organization that she has started with FASD kids. That is fetal alcohol syndrome. It's a huge problem, and a lot of people are not aware of it. And she's going to enlighten us with some of the the information, some of the research, but also with some of her experience as she has a daughter that has foster kids and that are dealing with FASD. And it might answer some of your questions for those of you listening, either that you have kids or even grandkids or kids around that you feel like, well, that is some of the behavior that I'm seeing. So very interesting episode. Make sure you click in. And so I will look forward to seeing you next time. Make sure you click in to follow and share this with anyone that you care to. Would love you to share it. Write a review. womenathalftime.com. You can reach me anytime. Love to hear from you. And also some of the subjects that I try to vary this around. My husband and I are on once a month, Craig and I. We have a lot of fun. And I do a couple episodes a month, and then I bring in a guest once a month as well. So hopefully you are finding great value as well as a little bit of entertainment. Always click into those articles. I have a lot of them, a lot of free downloads. You can always connect with me. I love to hear from you. Again, womenathalftime.com, goalsforyourlife.com, Deborah Johnson speaker. I do a lot of speaking as well as still do some music as well. I have that whole site as well, djworksmusic.com. So thank you again for joining me. This has been an absolute pleasure. Love what I do and love being with you. And I will see you next time. Deborah Johnson.
Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson, signing off.